I'm Eric Connor. I'm a CrossFit Level 3 instructor with over 15,000 hours of coaching experience. Exercise in general can seem like this kind of crazy thing, and sometimes only succeeding means like winning a gold medal or doing this amazing crazy feat. But it's not meant to be that at all. What it is really learning where you're at and where any physical or other limitations may be, and working accordingly to what you need to get out of that. I'm here to help you find where that is, where to go from it, and how to do it on your own. If you may have any limitations, it's really important to find the right way to do a movement correctly. So what we're really looking for is how to keep the stimulus or what's desired out of the movement. So for a squat, for example, one thing that will really help would be having a bench, a box, a chair, or anything behind you, so you can use it as assistance for control. So what I'm gonna have Nicole do is focus on her squat with her knees coming out, butt going back, but she's gonna tap to the bench as some support for her. Go for it, Nicole. Awesome. You do one more for me? Awesome. So she has the bench there if she needs it. It can help her come out. Another thing would be that she can actually stop fully on the bench. Go for it, Nicole. So she sits, stands all the way up. Go for one more for me. So she's still really focusing on her good components of a squat, of having a flat back, knees are out, heels are down, and she's got her feet about shoulder width apart. But this can really help her if she struggles maybe getting up from the ground or any other type of areas, so that she can actually develop the strength. If you need more help, just raise the seat higher, but keep that same foundation of the squat. Some common faults with regards to the squat to a bench or a box or something like that would be if maybe her feet are too narrow, or if her knees may come in as she squats, or if she's rounding her back. Good. So if these were the case, you would want to raise this bench a little bit higher and then find what will make it successful and good. Try it again, Nicole. Awesome, beautiful. If you may have any limitations to a push-up or any kind of chest pressing exercise, another good way to preserve the stimulus is to be able to press, but do it overhead. Even if you don't have really any equipment at home, you can find something that is weighted. We here have 2 water bottles, which is gonna be great with Miss Nicole. Nicole, will you just show us a press overhead first? Awesome, and then back down, thank you. So a good way to do this is to make sure that you're locking your elbows at the top. The weights are gonna start on your shoulders. With this, you wanna make sure the weights are pretty parallel as opposed to turned out to the side. These can typically cause a little more shoulder irritation in a lot of people, so turning them parallel is gonna typically be better for most. What she's gonna wanna do is push them straight up so it stays over her shoulders, not out in front of her. Will you show that, Nicole? So out in front is gonna be a little bit more difficult for her body to control, so she's pressing overhead. And then lastly, before she presses, she's gonna kind of tighten her gut, tighten her butt is what we'll say, so she's nice and tight. What that's gonna do is it's gonna stabilize your core and your spine so that you're not irritating it as you press. You press there, and then bring it back down. Nicole, will you show us an arched position too much? So she's kind of having her ribs come out and her back arch too much. That's gonna put a little bit of pinching and irritation in the low back. If you also need to, you could do this from a seated position, or you could also do it with the knees a tiny bit bent if that helps take some of the tension away as well. So a really good adaptive movement with regards to the core and to help the core at home if a sit-up may be too difficult is gonna be to do a variation of the plank. So I'm gonna have Nicole go down in a plank. Her body's gonna be nice and straight. She's gonna go from her palms. So with palms is a really good way to do a plank. She has a straight line from her shoulder all the way down to her heels. The plank from the palms is really good to use the upper body and the core, like the shoulders and the core. If she goes to her elbows, she's gonna be able to do a little bit more isolation on her core. So that's great. What we're gonna do here is another way to modify it is to put the knees down and you take a little bit less stress on the body. Same idea as if it was from the palms. Good, awesome, Nicole. So some common faults are mainly, we're gonna have Nicole go back to a plank at the top of, or at the straight plank at the top of her shoulders, is if instead of in a straight line, your butt shoots up in the air and the shoulders push back. This is one common fault. And one other common fault would be if the hips sag too far down, just like so. So I'm gonna have Nicole finish in a good plank, again, a straight line. She's gonna flex her thighs and flex her butt, and that'll keep her nice and stable and strong while she's actually in her plank. Deadlift is a great movement. It's, again, really functional where you're picking up any object from the ground. To do that as an adaptive variation, sometimes people have really tight or irritated low backs or maybe even disc issues. Still need to prepare to be able to pick things up in life as long as that's the right way that you can. One thing that really helps that, and people we've worked with, is what we call adding a riser. So that would be something underneath the object so it's not nearly as low. Sometimes the issue for the back is the lower that it goes, or the more it hinges, the more stress or strain it might add. So if we raise that to the right position to start, that could really help. So I'm gonna have Nicole step over it. Again, grab a hold of the handles, back flat. She's just gonna stand all the way up, and then she's gonna bring it back down. So it looks really successful again. The only thing she's doing is that she's just not having to bring it as low as if it went straight to the ground. This is gonna really help her be able to adapt for a deadlift if she has any issues, again, with her low back or anything there. So a bad one for one of these would be if she actually rounds her back and stands up with a rounded back, just like so. So this is gonna be her lifting with her back instead of actually pushing with her legs and then standing up fully at the end. So to close out, again, being adaptive or having any adaptations needed is gonna be just fine. All you gotta do is find out how to preserve the stimulus or kind of get the same desired effect out of what you're doing and using anything that you may have at hand to have that happen.